Previously on Libel the Bible.
I continue my attempt to appeal to a younger demographic by regaling our audience with stories about parties for octogenarians.
I express my allegiance to Team Selena.
We discuss the lunacy of killing people who create images of Muhammad.
Scott goes full out Mussolini, ranting about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Better than discussing Joshua 13 through 17.
Admittedly not the most engaging reading.
Basically, Joshua allots land to each respective tribe of Israel.
And the reading provides painful detail about the boundaries of that land.
Did we mention that the Levites get no land?
Oh yeah, the Levites get no land.
Yahweh is their inheritance.
Huzzah! And now, episode 62 of Libel the Bible. I can already tell we're going to have a marvelous show today, Scott.
Why is that, man?
Why is that?
Why is that?
Because you're coming in hot.
I am not coming in hot. You're coming in hot.
No, you're coming in hot.
You're coming in critical,
You're
man.
coming in hot.
You're coming in
You're
critical.
coming in hot. Motherfucker.
I'm just cool in the gang over here.
I'm Rusty.
I'm Scott.
This is Libel the Bible.
And I put cool in the gang. I didn't really think of anything before then.
What?
I don't know. I put cool in the gang.
Yeah. So I feel like we've been on a good run of shows. Last week's episode 61, This Land is Your Land. Not the best episode, but the material wasn't that great.
Yeah, I'm blaming the material. Fuck that.
But I listened to it over the course of the week, and I got to tell you, it wasn't a terrible episode. We had some good discussions.
Not terrible is a good bar to go for at this point.
No, I mean, listen. I mean, I hear you. It's funny, you can, self-deprecating humor is always good.
Yeah, I like that kind of humor, man.
We've definitely gotten better. We have definitely matured and evolved as conversationalists in terms of this particular podcast. I feel like we're less characters than we used to be. Like, the conversation's more natural for the most part. At times, we'll play devil's advocate with one another where we do, go into character mode. But I think conversation's more natural.
A famous man once said, just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character. Remember who said that?
Well, yes, I do know. And if he was famous, then he wasn't doing his job well.
Oh, that's right.
He's infamous in certain circles, right? The Wolf, right? Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf. I think the 18 to 24-year-olds.
Shit, that's reference. All you had to say.
You said in the Wolf? Yeah.
So for our 18 to 25-year-old demographic or 27-year-old, whatever the fuck, that's a reference to Pulp Fiction. Yeah. You might know it as the inspiration for every single movie that's out today.
That's a bold claim.
I mean, not really, not anymore, because all the movies out today are basically like superhero movies.
Oh God, they're the worst.
But after Pulp Fiction came out, I'd say for the next 10 years, every movie was trying to be Pulp Fiction, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking. Every Guy Ritchie movie, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch.
Is that one of Madonna's exes?
2 Days in the Valley. What's that?
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. She had a kid with him, I think.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Sean Penn, right? Sean Penn was the kid.
Madonna had a lot of exes.
Well, good for her, man.
All my exes live in Texas.
Okay, it's a big state. So
it's a Willie Nelson song. I think it's Willie Nelson.
Okay.
How many songs Willie Nelson?
Probably a lot.
A lot. Is
he stoned? He stoned a lot
all
the
time.
Right? Yeah. I think his audience was a bunch of stoners.
He's the best.
Was his audience a bunch of stoners, or they were just?
I mean, farmers typically what else are you gonna do on a farm? You smoke. You fuck.
Yeah. Speaking of all of that, I finally watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
What's that mean? You watched it?
I watched 2 episodes.
The first 2 episodes?
First 2 episodes, yeah.
So the first episode was the gang fights racism, I think.
How do you remember after 14 seasons?
And the second episode was Charlie Gets Cancer?
Shit, I don't remember.
He stops by to borrow a basketball, and Charlie's like, I got cancer. And he's like, well, that's terrible. You anytime you want to talk. And Charlie's like, well, and he's like, oh, I didn't mean talk now.
Oh, I don't. I don't
remember
recall.
that?
No,
Right.
I don't recall. So now I'm gonna be upset with you if that's like episode 7 and
That's
you
all
just
right.
gave
So what'd
something
you
away.
think?
It was way over the top.
Mm-hmm.
It was overacted, but funny.
It was
So,
overacted.
I thought it was overacted. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to tell you then.
Doesn't tell me. Listen, micro on me.
Okay.
The dialogue. It was just. It was over the top. It was all over the top.
Okay.
But
So
funny.
you did not enjoy it?
No, I totally enjoyed it.
Oh,
I
because
can
the
enjoy it.
words that you were using didn't seem
over the
to...
top and overacted.
didn't
Yeah,
seem to
I think
indicate-
I am sure 14 seasons in, it's going to be a very well polished, very well acted comedy.
Okay.
I just think I'm
So
looking
just
at
so you know, all those guys, they're the writers, they're the producers. The three guys are the writers, producers. They
Okay,
it's
so
their
so-
show from
so-
the ground up.
So had any of them acted before?
Charlie acted before,
All right, I'll keep an eye on that.
but Glenn, the skinny guy, the guy that wound up having sex with like the men in the episode, he thought it was like a woman. That guy, Dennis, he plays the bartender. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. He went to Juilliard. He's actually a very good
Ooh.
actor. And as the show goes on, all their characters are going to eventually evolve. Especially Dee's character. Like in the first season,
Dee's
Dee, the
nuts.
sister, Sweet Dee,
Oh, geez.
she's basically like, she plays a foil to the guys. She's like the voice of reason. But then she told them like that makes her annoying. So she asked them to rewrite her as part of the gang and like just be an asshole just like them. So the whole point of the show is this. These are 4 assholes
Okay.
who are put into situations with like normal humans and they're acting like assholes. And this is like in the face of like normalcy, they continue to plow through and act like assholes and pretend everyone else is the problem when they themselves are like the major problem.
I see why you like this show so
Oh,
much.
it's such a great show. Such a great show.
Yeah.
So anyway, how'd you manage to watch it? I thought
I had to watch it on my
Format
phone,
wasn't
man.
good.
I had to watch it on my phone. So my phone can handle the codec, but my smart TV couldn't handle it. It's weird. My TV's pretty old though. So is my phone though.
well, I'm glad that you brought up a 20-year-old show to appeal
Yeah,
to
man.
our
Yeah, man. I will just
18-year-old
shut the
demographic.
fuck up and let you do all the talking, Mister. I got nothing nice to say about anything Scott has to say.
So,
So
in order to appeal to our demographic,
you're a little
our
obsessed.
18 to
By the
20
way, you're starting to have like a regular reputation of like being a little obsessed with the 18 to 25
Oh,
year olds.
we need to get the 18 to 25-year-olds on board. So, what I have done, Scott, is
Don't include me in this if it's going to be
we
incriminating.
are going to immerse ourselves in the language of young Gen Zers so that we may incorporate this language into our discourse.
That'd be gnarly, man.
Okay. Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Let's not use gnarly. It makes you sound chuggy.
Okay.
All right.
A word?
We'll get to that. All right. The first.
Did you say chuggy?
Chuggy.
Is that some modern slang?
Are you cool or are you chuggy? Okay.
I put cool in the gang. I said that at the beginning of the episode.
Chuggy is used to describe uncool things that are either out of style or trying too hard to be in style.
Oh, you are chuggy.
Okay? So chuggy. All right. Now, you're going to remember that? You're going to have to drop
There's
that
no
into
fucking
conversation.
Chance. There's no chance I'll remember, but I'll try.
We got no cap. You ever hear of no cap?
No ceiling, no limit?
You've likely seen cap and no cap on social media.
Nope.
To cap about something means to brag or exaggerate or lie about it. Okay? No cap means that shit's for real. That's no lie. That's no cap.
Wait. So wait, cap means to brag about something.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people are like, they're doubting you fucking because you're capping off.
Mm-hmm.
You go, no, that's no cap.
No cap.
That's like opposing itself. It's like peruse and peruse.
It's a little chuggy, right?
Chuggy.
Chuggy.
I don't like it. So far, I don't like that one.
All right. What about hits different? That shit hits different.
I mean, like more powerfully or just like outside the norm.
To hit different means to have an effect or influence.
Yeah.
Affect severely, yeah. Main character. Okay.
Main character.
Yeah, like if you're the main character, it's a trend in which people post a montage of their life featuring themselves as the main character or they reenact popular scenes from favorite movies and TV shows. We actually have a friend, our friend Joe, who I say is constantly having Hollywood moments, like where we're all like hanging out, and our friend Joe will like drift away by himself, and like he'll walk all contemplatively, you know what I mean? And it looks like it's one of those like scenes at the end of a Hollywood movie where like a man is like walking alone after like a long adventure, and he's just like pondering life. Joe has those moments all the time.
You sure he's not just going to the bathroom and you're looking at him walking away?
And I know for certainty that he's thinking that he's having a Hollywood moment. Like, I know he's thinking cinematically, like he's framing it like what it must look like to outsiders. I know this goes on.
To outsiders or to the people he's walking away from? Like, why would outsiders think
it's the same thing? Anyone who's looking at him. Anyone looking at him.
Well, I'm going to say, based on your observation, he's correct. You are totally enraptured by his walking away.
Yes, because he's doing it. It's an affect that I'm seeing.
Okay. Well,
then we've got.
I just thought he was going to the bathroom or out for a smoke, man.
No. I mean, I don't want to keep going on and on about this, but I'm saying, like, if we're hanging out outside, he'll walk away. I'm not saying he's going anywhere. He walks away, and he's just, like, hanging out, like, walking along the shore of the ocean. He's not going into a facility to piss. He's just, like...
So he's being a main character?
He's being a main character. But I used to call it Hollywood moment. So basically, these are all terms for shit that we've already identified.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to have to relearn language now.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to, Scott.
I'm not doing the cap and
But if
no
you want to
cap.
continue to languish with the same, like, old, like, people listening to us.
Man. That's fine. We can do it. But I'm not using cap and no cap because make up your fucking mind. It's either cap or no cap.
Why not both?
Why not? Let's make sure no words have any meaning at the end of the show, all right? Every word means some other word.
We could do that.
No, it's stupid.
No meaning.
Yeah, whatever, man. Go on.
Snatched. You know what snatched is?
Yeah, that means either you got kidnapped or your chain got snatched, or you know, between the legs, you know, the snatch.
You got snatched,
yeah.
Like pussy whipped.
Well, I wasn't thinking that.
Oh
but
shit,
like,
you got snatched, son. You never go out anymore.
No, see, I would think of it more of as like, yo, she snatched you up.
Oh,
like she went out and she got what she wanted.
Nah, that's misogynistic, man.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But the pussy whip comment wasn't.
Oh, it was 100% misogynistic.
Oh, so you're being more truthful about the misogyny. I'm just lying about it, right?
Oh, for sure.
No cap.
All right. So snatched means fierce or on point, particularly when it comes to someone's hair, makeup, and physical appearance, which is weird because the last I heard, it was being on fleek. If you were on fleek.
Man, I haven't heard on fleek.
That was like the 5-year ago version of being snatched.
Snatch is like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, fleek's not even a word, but at least like you made up a word. On fleek.
Yes, on fleek.
It makes it even of less meaning, but snatch, that's stupid. I'm not using snatched.
Bet.
No doubt.
That's right. It's an affirmation, or it could mean like cool or I'm down.
I worked with a guy who said bet all the time.
Bet.
I mean,
we used to say bet, didn't we?
No, not really.
You don't think so?
No, I would say no because I remember that guy distinctly as the one guy in my life that used to say it all the time. Like, it wouldn't have stood out if everybody was using it at the time. So, but this was a couple of years ago he was using that word.
Understood the assignment?
Meaning exactly that. So you understood the assignment.
But you use it in specific, like, situations. So, in other words, like, if Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, tweets something and then you post, like, a snarky comment, you understood the assignment.
See, on my job, often we say things like, so you didn't understand the assignment.
Right, well, in real life, you know. Okay, boomer. That's probably something that you're going to have to start getting, like, used to hearing a lot.
Nah, man, not me, man. My humor is, like, classic. My common sense is classic.
What about say less? What do you think say less means?
I kind of feel that coming from you all the time. Like, you want me to say less because every time I say something, you shut it down. You fucking... So, I don't know.
Scott's feeling very sensitive today. No, in this case...
You came in hot, man.
Okay. In this case, say
See
less...
what I'm saying? Yeah, that was dismissive.
I don't want to argue.
We're not arguing, man.
So say less means I understand. So say less.
I got you.
You know, like... You got it. I totally get it, man. We're simpatico. Say less. What about slaps?
Sounds like sexual, something sexual.
Like slaps.
Yeah.
Slap that ass.
Slap it. What that sound? Slapping sound.
Yeah. No, it means to be excellent or amazing. I mean, that could be
that
sexual
slaps.
too, right? Yeah.
Your podcasting slaps, Rusty.
Low key, high key. Means quiet, restrained, moderate.
Mm-hmm.
Simp. You know what that means? If you're
Describes
simping.
most people I know. No, I don't understand it like that. No.
If you're a simp, like you're submissive. Usually for like a woman or something. So if you're a man, if you're a hetero man, I guess. So like no matter what Selena Gomez says and you defend her, you're simping for Selena Gomez, you know?
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, you know, these are some words. Which ones do you think you can incorporate into your everyday?
What was the first
Cheugy?
one? Cheugy was the first one?
Yeah. Cheugy means uncool.
It's not even a fucking
You're
word,
being a
man.
little chuggy.
Cheugy is
Oh,
chuggy.
it's totally made up. Yeah, chuggy's totally made up.
So just making up sounds. I don't know.
There's sus. You know,
I don't like sus, man.
You don't like sus.
I've told you that many times.
Why don't you like sus?
Because I just don't like it.
But it's
And when you sprung it on me that first time, I was like, "That's like it stopped me dead in my tracks, man." Sus sounds like a weak word.
It's sus.
Sounds like a weak word.
It's a
I don't
sus
know.
perspective. I gotta say, I don't know if I could. You know, I don't know if I can roll with you, man. If you don't like sus,
I'm sorry.
you heard about Dion?
You're simping for sus over here.
I am. I'm totally simping. I'm a sus stan. You know that term, stan?
No.
If you're a stan, you're like, that's like team whatever. You know, so I'm team sus. I stand for sus.
Yeah, I liked it better when slang made sense, man.
All right. Well, let's have something else make sense. We have a lot to cover tonight, I think, in our biblical discourse. So the question becomes this, Scott. Do we dive into the biblical discourse, or do we have more conversations?
You know me, man. I ain't got nothing interesting to say to anybody, man.
At all.
So nothing. So we could just jump right in, I guess. Well, we're not really jumping right in. We've had several minutes of non-jumping right now.
I mean, we did have like our weekly outreach to our younger demographic.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. I've had such a rough week and such a rough day. I barely remember any of those words you just read off to me.
Why? What was so rough?
Just,
work?
Yeah, just work. A lot of work shit.
Just bullshit.
Yeah, just
aggravation.
Work aggravation.
Because of other people or because of the work?
Come on, man. I like to work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work at any job.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people around you that make your life work
it's
suck.
not difficult to see.
Nah, it's just fucking. So it's right. We got a lot of deliverables.
It's like when I come here, I feel like I get a lot of that residue. Like you're already suspicious of everything that I'm saying and everything I'm doing, and so I get like the residue of like your shitty like interactions with people all week.
Listen, I don't want to
and
argue,
then
man.
I get blamed for like some bullshit because like you fucking have a problem with other people,
and I'm just projecting it onto you.
Not so much projecting it, but like you're nitpicking in order to vent onto me. Yes.
Have I been nitpicking you?
No, not so much nitpicking. You're reading into the things that I say. You're amplifying them because it's a way for you to vent in a way that you can't in a professional setting.
No, I'm all vented out. I would think if that's true, and I'm not admitting to that being true. Mm-hmm. If that is true, it's more of me being tired and cranky more than anything else. Not that I'm not.
So you're tired and cranky, and as a result,
but I'm not using it to vent on you. I'm just tired and cranky, so I'm sensitive and cranky.
Well, I mean, I think you should direct your crankiness towards like people who deserve it, like Yahweh, like the fucking Israelites. You know what I mean? And
wait, so you can turn around and apologize for them, man? Nah, man.
I mean, if I have to apologize for them against an anti-Semite, then I will. I said it.
I'm not going to respond because it's just me being tired and cranky.
Exactly. Go ahead, deny it.
I deny it wholeheartedly.
All right, so...
I still don't know what a Semite is.
A Semite?
Did we determine that yet?
Semitic people from that region. So people from that region...
Has the term been used in our reading so far?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so...
No, but the word has been used in our life.
We're not talking about our lives, man.
All right, I'm tired. I'm done with that. I'm so done with that.
Then stop like, fucking diving into it, man.
50 episodes past that conversation.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is, do you want to like complain about your work week?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Yes.
You want to call out people?
Just you, man.
Name names, Scott.
Just you, man.
Name names.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well then. Let's get into Joshua 18 because...
And by the way, I rarely drop names on the show.
You never drop names on the show.
No.
Never. So today we're going to finish up the book of Joshua.
Oh, you gave it away. Now they know. I didn't even know until like an hour ago.
I was actually going to say maybe we're going to finish up the book of Joshua. The plan is to finish it up, right? Plow through 18 to 24. Like so many men
plow through 18, 24
like so many men have plowed through your mom. So let's, we're gonna
see how I told my joke and still heard yours.
What?
Yeah, right. So we're gonna plow through 18 to 24-year-olds, right? Is that what you're saying?
What? So the plan is to plow through 18 to 24. But I don't know if we're going to make it that far.
Not at this pace.
No, not at this pace. All right. So, Joshua 18, we left off, and there was a whole bunch of allotment of land. Basically, like, it was like words to describe what a map should be. Like, they should have just put, like, a map in the place of, like, those 7 chapters.
Yeah, it definitely, like, it's a land survey.
Yeah.
So, it definitely could have been a map with lines.
So that gets us to the territories of the remaining tribes in Joshua 18. Then the whole congregation of the Israelites assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The land lay subdued before them. There remained among the Israelites 7 tribes whose inheritance had not yet been apportioned.
Okay. The land lay subdued before them. You mean drenched in innocents' blood?
Yeah.
And fucking shit burning and shit destroyed? The land lay subdued before them. I just want to say how they can paint a certain narrative to put themselves in a certain light. Or not put them in a certain light. I don't like it, man.
No.
Go on.
I wouldn't think you would, Scott.
No. Nobody should like it.
Perhaps if this was a different group of people, you would be more, encouraging of their actions.
I see what you're doing here, man. I see what you're doing here.
All right. So, basically, there's still 7 tribes who need to have territories distributed to them.
Yeah, and I'm going to point out, I think they're the 7 lazy tribes,
you
right?
Think they're lazy?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that haven't, like, taken over anything?
Joshua kind of walks in and goes, what the fuck are you doing with your feet up, fucking smoking cigarettes, drinking beers?
So he's about to say that.
Yeah.
So Joshua says to the Israelites, how long will you be slack about going in and taking possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you? Right? So, number one, it's funny because God promised them this land, right? God never said, you're going to have to kill and maim and rape and like whatever else for this land.
No.
Okay.
But that's all out of the way now, though.
It's kind of like false advertising. It's kind of like watching cartoons as a kid and seeing like an advertisement for like a great toy, and then you buy the toy and then you realize like it's not really as advertised.
Like the things don't really shoot.
That's Yahweh's.
And it doesn't really make that noise.
Yeah, no, not at all. It doesn't fly. It doesn't like do the loop, whatever it is.
No. It does the loop, but it doesn't show the kid's arm attached to it, making it do the loop.
Right.
Leave that fucking part out. We're going to get right back to the show, but before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
We explore the encroachment of religion onto secular institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and government.
In addition, we'll investigate whether religion practices what it preaches.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/Libel to Bible and join in the conversation.
And now, back to the show.
And you know what? Why haven't you gone out into the land that the Lord has promised you and delivered to you? Why can't they just say the land at this point? Like, why is everything so fucking long-winded?
It is long-winded,
Every
right?
fucking part of it's long-winded, man.
Yeah. Provide 3 men from each tribe, Joshua continues, and I will send them out, that they may begin to go throughout the land, writing a description of it, with a view to their inheritances. Then come back to me. They shall divide it into 7 portions. Judah continuing in its territory on the south, and the house of Joseph in their territory on the north. So basically, he wants to send out scouts, right? More scouts into the land so they can provide like a report and write up on it.
He's basically like, yo, we got land to apportion here. This is how you do it, you lazy, stupid, incompetent fucks. Like, they're sitting around waiting for orders, but maybe they've been trained this way at this point. They're not going to take anything for granted. We apportioned, like, what, like 3 tribes already or whatever. There's still 7 to go. And they're like, we weren't told to do it, so let's just sit tight because we might do it wrong.
And what happens if they do it wrong?
So you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be so critical of them.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I complain about kids today, how kids are so reliant and dependent on parents. Like, it takes them so long to grow up. But then that's our fault also because we've conditioned them to be, like, reliant on us, We infantilize them for too long. We don't allow them the freedom that we had, you and I, like when we were kids. And a lot of times for the better, like kids should stay innocent for longer.
Yeah.
But still, like, it annoys me, but it's also my fault, so I can't complain about it. Same with the Israelites, like Yahweh has trained them. He's conditioned them.
Yeah, I was way too young to have my father hand me a gun, say, shoot anybody who moves while I take this register. I definitely grew up too fast.
Well, look, every family's different.
So speaking of that, do you find yourself, since you have a child and you meet a lot of parents, do you find yourself around like a lot of helicopter parents?
I mean, again, everything is in degrees, right?
Yeah.
So when you say helicopter parents, I would say to a degree we're all helicopter parents.
Much more than our parents were to us.
Yes. Oh, for sure. We're very much like, for example, my 8-year-old, we live in an apartment building, and I sent him down this week to the basement on the elevator by himself for the first time to drop off like recycling. Okay. And my wife was like sus about it. She wasn't sure if,
no cap.
It's like a good idea, right? So it's like when I was 8 years old, I literally was roaming the streets of Brooklyn from like sunrise to sundown.
With a pickpocket gang, right?
I mean, like from the southern end of Kensington in Brooklyn to like Midwood. Mm-hmm. So like I'm talking about like 4 square miles. I could be anywhere of 4 square miles of Brooklyn when I was 8.
Yeah, you had your territory.
No one knew anything. None of the adults knew anything.
Yeah. They didn't want to know, man.
So here's the fucked up part about this land, Scott.
Yeah.
Joshua continues. You shall write a description of the land in 7 divisions and bring the description here to me. And I will cast lots for you here before the Lord our God. I want you to think about this. Yahweh's promising them the promised land since fucking Abraham. Now there's all these tribes that he's fucked around with in the wilderness for 40 fucking years, right?
Mm-hmm. When you say he's fucked with, you're talking about Yahweh?
Yahweh, yeah, like Yahweh. Now finally, like, they've conquered the land lies before them, ready to be taken. You're telling me he didn't have a better plan? Because remember last week we did debate about, like, you brought up the point, which I dismissed, but I was wrong. You brought up the point of how, like, the land seems to be being given out randomly, and I was like, of course it's not random, because remember, even when they were camping, Yahweh had very specific instructions for how each tribe, where they were supposed to be in relation to, like, the tabernacle. So how can the land where they will settle for all history, how can that be random? But here it is. I will cast lots. He's basically drawing straws. So there is no plan for dividing this land.
Well, it makes sense when it was all organized while they were on the move, because sometimes they had to move quick and they had to settle quick. So I can understand that. Now I guess they're all taking like a collective deep breath. Like, there's no rush now. There's no
You think
rush.
that's what it is, as opposed to just like poor planning and just like not giving a fuck?
It could be that.
It's kind of like he was stringing them along this whole time, and I don't think he ever thought that they'd actually reach a point where they would actually conquer the land. And he's like, fuck, what do I do now?
It all made sense when we were just walking all the time. We're just walking.
I just had them collecting like materials for me, It continues.
It does.
The Levites had no portion among you, Joshua continues to tell them.
Can we go back to verse 8?
Sure.
So he said,
I haven't reached verse 8 yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm on verse 7 right now.
Yeah.
The Levites have no portion among you. Again, they want to remind everyone, all the Levites who are reading this. The Levites have no portion among you, for the priesthood of the Lord is their heritage. And Gad and Reuben and the half-tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan eastward, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them.
So I'm going to ask this. The remaining tribes, how come certain tribes were already allotted land? Are they the favored tribes? Like, why would they? I'm not talking about the 2.5 that are staying outside.
So I
the
would
ones internally. Who the fuck? Why did they get shit?
So I would say that the half tribes of Manasseh, right? And who's the other half of that tribe? Whatever. I would say they are favored because they were the sons of Joseph, who was favored, right?
All right, so that explains the half tribe, the split tribe. And it explains the two that already agreed on outside the Jordan. But other tribes already got settled. And why is that, man?
Well, Reuben, he was pretty much cursed, I think. Remember, I think Reuben was the guy that banged Jacob's wife. So Jacob, at the end of his life, sort of told him not. He was like, "You're not going to get anything," because Reuben was the oldest brother. He's the one that saved Joseph's life. Remember when they threw Joseph into the pit? And Reuben was the one that convinced his brothers to get him out of the pit and just sell him off.
Yeah.
So we thought Reuben was the man. He was going to get a good inheritance, but apparently he laid with one of his dad's concubines. So I think giving him land was easy because he didn't get all that much. So they got rid of the easy ones right away. You're going to get a lot of land because you're descended from a favorite son.
Okay.
You're not going to get a lot of land because you're descended from a shit son. You know what I mean? And then the Gadites, aren't those the guys that showed up? They pretended they were from a faraway land.
No, those are the Gibeonites.
The Gibeonites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're interspersed. Can we go revisit Reuben for a second?
Yeah.
So they threw him in the pit and they were going to kill him. They were going to say a wild animal killed him.
Joseph.
Right. And Reuben was like, no, let's get him out of there. And he was appealing to them saying, yeah, we'll still fuck him, but he didn't want to kill him. And we thought that was very noble of Reuben. But when you just said it, I thought in my head, I was like, wait a minute. We can kill Joseph and make up a story, or we can sell him and make up a story, but now have cash in our pocket because we sold him. So maybe Reuben was looking to make a buck off it.
Maybe.
But we don't have to revisit that.
Maybe.
Man. This book does not warrant going back. People shouldn't go back and revisit it and re-examine it.
Not at all.
As soon as read it, whatever you get off face value, that's what it should be.
I got to tell you, I think you're saying that facetiously, but you're not wrong. Because if you're smart enough, you can almost turn this into anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're devious enough, if you're clever enough.
Yeah.
So that gets us to Joshua 8. So the men started on their way, and Joshua charged those who went to write the description of the land, saying, "Go throughout the land and write a description of it, and come back to me, and I will cast lots for you here before the Lord in Shiloh." So go ahead, Scott. What did you want to say about
this? Do you think they all turned to him and go, "No shit, dude, that's where we're going"?
Well, you just told us. In fairness, Joshua is up there in age. He might be suffering
fair
from
enough. So someone grabs the guy by the shoulder and goes, "Just let him go. Let him go. Come on, let's go."
He's having a senior moment.
Come on. You're going to be like that one day, too.
I'm like that now.
I was talking in characters to characters.
Oh, okay.
But true.
So the men went and traversed the land and set down in a book a description of it by towns and 7 divisions. Then they came back to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh, and Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before the Lord. And there Joshua apportioned the land to the Israelites, to each a portion. And then basically the rest of this chapter is a description of the territory of Benjamin. The tribe of Benjamin gets this and blah, 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 from this to this to that to this to that.
The only interesting note was that Benjamin's lot fell between the lots of Judah and Joseph.
Oh, shit.
Very interesting.
Wow. I hope they didn't find too many problems with that.
Yeah, how much corruption do you think was involved in these allotments?
I think it was completely
corrupt. Somebody got paid, right?
100%.
Because there's got to be people that got
there's kickbacks happening. Yeah, you got to be in with Joshua. You know what I mean? It's all about networking and who you know.
Yeah.
So that gets us to Joshua 19, the territory of Simeon.
Wait. I'm sorry. 18, chapter, verse 21. I just want to point out that the territory of Benjamin? Benjamin got Jerusalem, which I think probably comes up in history later on. Mm-hmm. So the territory of Benjamin.
21?
18, 11, territory of Benjamin. If you scroll down, it's in there. It's in this long, drawn-out thing of the list of towns. They're the ones that get Jerusalem.
Okay. That gets us to the territory of Simeon. The inheritance of the tribe of Simeon in Joshua 19, verse 9. The inheritance of the tribe of Simeon formed part of the territory of Judah because the portion of the tribe of Judah was too large for them. The tribe of Simeon obtained an inheritance within their inheritance. So it seems like Judah received so much land that they gave Simeon some extra land. Is that like, am I reading this right?
Yeah, you are reading that right, but I'm like wondering, like, if with Judah, like, the people are putting down their tents, and then here come the Simeons going, oh, this is too big for them. And they're like, yo, shut the fucking mind your fucking business, man.
You think this is happening in the West Bank?
Oh, it could be. Sure. But all I know is, forget all that, Simeon gets Beersheba. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice. So that's your favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah. I put an exclamation mark on it.
So that gets us to the territory of Zebulon. They get a portion of their territory.
I wrote, not a damn point of interest here.
Yeah, just like, west of the Euphrates, to east of this, to north of that, to south of this. Then that gets us to the territory of Issachar, and that's also pretty much...
Well, it does describe that their boundary ends at the Jordan, so they have riverfront property at least.
Okay.
That only the rich will settle on. It won't be like for beaches and for like the average people, I'm sure.
Okay. That was the territory of Issachar?
Yeah.
Then that gets us to the territory of Asher. Pretty much same thing, right? They allot the land to them. That gets us to the territory of Naphtali.
Nothing interesting.
Nothing there. And then that gets us to the territory of Dan, where there is some interesting things going on. Okay. In the territory of Dan, Joshua 19, verse 40, the seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan according to its families. The territory of its inheritance included Zorah, blah, blah, blah. It's going to name a whole bunch of things. Then it gets to this section in verse 47. When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, the Danites went up and fought against Leshem. And after capturing it and putting it to the sword, they took possession of it and settled in it, calling Leshem Dan, after their ancestor Dan. Mm-hmm. This is the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, according to their families, these towns with their villages. I had a note saying I don't understand this, but I guess I do understand it.
It looks like maybe they went through the land and some survivors popped back up and kind of tried to rebuild their settlement or something.
Why did they have to call it Leshem? Why did they have to keep the name of the old place? Why not just call it Dan?
One final fucking insult. It's like, yo, oh, you live in York? Well, this is York Rusty now.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So just something just you always remember how we took this from you.
Yeah.
Fucking dicks.
Don't forget who your daddy is. Yeah. That gets us to Joshua's inheritance, because Joshua's the main man. So now all the territories have been divvied up, right? Joshua's inheritance. Joshua 19, verse 49. When they had finished distributing the several territories of the land as inheritances, the Israelites gave an inheritance among them to Joshua son of Nun. By command of the Lord, they gave him the town that he asked for, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim. He rebuilt the town and settled in it.
Do you think it was the hill country who also had the hill of foreskins? That's mine. I'm the king. I get that shit.
That's the perks of being Joshua. Yeah. You get access to all the good foreskins.
Rolling around on some foreskins.
Although they're not that fresh at this point, because it is many decades later now.
They're probably all shriveled up and
yeah. Because I think that was early on when they crossed the Jordan, right? The hill of foreskins.
Yeah. Do you think animals came and got them?
Yes.
I mean, birds grabbing them, thinking they're worms.
I don't know, but I think we should definitely get our best archaeologists on that. to find out, like, where is that hill of foreskins?
What's the ceremony called when a Jewish person gets circumcised? A bris? Is that the bris?
Well, that's the religious ceremony, a bris.
Okay. What do they do with
So in other words, if a Jewish person is born in a hospital and is circumcised, that's just the circumcision.
Gotcha.
If it's like a ritual ceremony with a rabbi and like, then that's a bris.
I can't believe I haven't asked this before. Like, what happens to modern day foreskins that got cut off? Like, what? Like, in a hospital, what do they do with the foreskin?
I don't know. What do they do with an appendix they take out?
I don't know that either.
I don't know.
Weird. All right, what do they do with them at a bris?
They send it to a lab. They probably test it in the lab.
For what?
For cancer, for whatever.
The foreskin or the appendix?
Everything. I would imagine
anything.
anything.
6-day-old foreskin. Go
Anything
check
that
for
gets
cancer.
surgically removed probably gets sent for testing, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And then what? There's probably it gets thrown out.
Okay, where do brises usually happen? In facilities or like in homes, like people's homes? Like,
Not in facilities, bro.
All
Like
right,
it could be like in a restaurant or.
oh,
at a
you said you like
home.
got one done in a dungeon, right? When you got yours done, like some
No,
sink,
I got no.
sink
I got.
covered in ice or something.
It was definitely like that. Yes.
All right, so they do this in people's homes and stuff. Like, I'm just wondering what happens to the foreskin if it's happening in a home.
Yes. I don't know.
We don't care if it's in a hospital because they have ways of disposing of shit.
I mean, I guess we can look it up if we're that curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for now, let's move on.
Well, let's move on.
All right. So that gets us to Joshua 19, verse 51. These are the inheritances that the priest Eleazar and Joshua, son of Nun, and the heads of the families of the tribes of the Israelites distributed by a lot at Shiloh before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So they finished dividing the land.
Good job, guys. Job well done. Took a little work, but thanks.
That gets us to Joshua 20, the cities of refuge. Then the Lord spoke to Joshua, saying, you all right? You want to read this?
Mm-mm.
No.
I'm laughing at you, not the material.
Say to the Israelites, appoint the cities of refuge of which I spoke to you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person without an... All right. As I'm reading this, I want you to think about Yahweh is very, very, very specific about like scenarios under which you can seek refuge, as if like he's experienced some of this before. You know what I mean?
Mostly possible. Yeah.
You can see shit because you was doing shit, you know? One of those kinds of situations. Say to the Israelites, appoint the cities of refuge of which I spoke to you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person without intent or by mistake may flee there. They shall be for you a refuge from the avenger of blood. The slayer shall flee to one of these cities, and shall stand at the entrance of the gate of the city, and explain the case to the elders of that city. Then the fugitive shall be taken into the city, and given a place, and shall remain with them. And if the avenger of blood is in pursuit, they shall not give up the slayer, because the neighbor was killed by mistake, there having been no enmity between them before. The slayer shall remain in that city until there is a trial before the congregation, until the death of the one who is the high priest at the time. Then the slayer may return home to the town in which the deed was done.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, he's like creating Australia, right? Right?
No. Australia was a penal colony, and only people that were actually convicted were sent there.
Penal.
For what
right.
foreskins are.
So then they like basically set up like these towns, and they create refuge cities.
So somebody sent me an article. I started perusing it in the not really
Interesting.
not really going
Did
into
you
it.
peruse it,
No,
or
it-
did you peruse it? You
I
perused it.
yeah. And it was about a bunch of rabbis chiming in on Alec Baldwin accidentally killing that person on set, and could he go to a refuge city? As to like they really got into a conversation. about
Really?
this. I didn't read the whole article.
Is there actually a thing like a refuge city in the United States of America?
I mean, we joke about sanctuary cities, but no, there's nothing like that really. So they mention that the slayer shall remain in the city until there's a trial before the congregation, blah, 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 until the death of the one who is high priest at the time. Then the slayer may return home. That's the high priest in the city where the slaying happened?
When they say high priest, do they mean like the most like exalted, like highest level, or do they mean the highest, like he like took some shrooms and like he is fucked up, yo?
Okay, let's go with the first one. He's just the highest priest. Okay. But is he the highest of all priests, or is he the highest priest in the city where it happened?
In the city.
Where it happened, or where he's seeking refuge? It would make sense in the city that it happened.
I'm assuming since it's a refuge city, that it's a specific priest in a refuge city. So like the high priest of that city, not a high priest amongst all the Israelites.
So you're saying the high priest they're talking about is the one in the refuge city, not where the slaying took place.
Correct. That makes sense because he's a neutral party.
Yeah, but when the neutral party dies, he can return home then? I would think it's the priest in the city where the slaying...
Well, read the part. Where is it?
20 verse 6.
20 verse 6. The slayer shall remain in that city until there is a trial before the congregation, until the death of the one who is high priest at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Then the slayer may return home. So I'm going to say this. Mm-hmm. If you want to kill somebody and make it look like an accident, check the age of the high priest. Like, if he's close to death, carry it out, man.
Well,
go into exile for a few months in the refuge city. When the old geezer kicks the can, you come home.
And it's not a bad plan. You would also, though, have to see, like, about his ancestors, how long they lived.
Oh, yeah.
Like you were saying, like, people in your family, like, are long-lived, you know? Yeah. So, that gets us to Joshua 21. Cities allotted to the Levites.
Wait, can I point out this... So they talk about these refuge cities, and the fact that they need them, and people are pursuing them with bloodlust, just goes to show that these people are quick to not even listen to reason. They just want to kill. Like, I killed you accidentally, all of a sudden a mob shows up, and I got to literally run from this lynch mob, without even, they don't even know my story. They're looking for blood. These people are bloodthirsty. That is all.
I mean, I understand your point, okay? But all I'm hearing is these people.
Hey.
When you say these people, who specifically do you mean?
Listen, man.
The Israelites?
Listen, if I throw a brick into a chicken coop, the one who clucks is the one that got hit.
No, but I'm gonna be serious for a second, though.
I'm talking about the Israelites.
The Israelites. Yeah. Okay. What makes you think that the Israelites stand apart from any other quote unquote society at that time?
You use that argument a lot to apologize for them. I don't know how the other people live. There's no stories about them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not saying, listen, you're probably right. I've watched Game of Thrones. It seems like every medieval culture is fucked up like this.
I mean, this is even before medieval.
Before medieval, yeah.
This is way before medieval.
So maybe medieval people were as violent as they were because they were reading these fucking violent books.
Or the books were violent because the people were violent.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, so you're saying the art created the violence.
Yeah. Before video games, there was this book.
Maybe you should go vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, maybe I should, man.
Cities allotted to the Levites, Joshua 21. Then the heads of the families of the Levites came to the priest Eleazar and to Joshua, son of Nun, and to the heads of the families of the tribes of the Israelites. They said to them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, "The Lord commanded through Moses that we be given towns to live in, along with their pasture lands for our livestock. So by command of the Lord, the Israelites gave to the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their inheritance." And then it goes on, like, you know, which tribes gave which pasture lands to, like, the different groups of Levites.
I had thought originally that the Levites would not be given anything. They'd be allowed to have houses and stuff and like land for themselves. But I didn't know they were going to be like given towns and villages and even cities. I thought they were just going to be interspersed amongst the population.
Well, it seems to me like they are. They're not being given towns. It seems to me like they're being given
lots. All right. Okay.
Pasture lands because they are in charge of the sacrifices, right? So they have to provide the sheep and the goats to Yahweh, right? The burnt offerings. So skipping down all the way to Joshua 21, verse 41.
Yeah, that's why I skipped the same way, yeah.
The towns of the Levites within the holdings of the Israelites were in all 48 towns with their pasture lands. Each of these towns had its pasture lands around it. So it was with all these towns.
Yeah, I got stuff to say about this, man.
Go ahead.
First of all, each of these towns had its pasture lands around it. So it was with all of these towns. He's repeating himself now in the same fucking sentence.
Yeah.
And did you notice a pattern in this entire chapter? The word pasture lands
is repeated a lot.
57 times.
Yeah.
57 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, was there a guy with like Tourette's like writing this? He was like, and blah, 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 pasture lands. Fuck, pasture lands. Oh, I can't make fun of guys with Tourette's now.
I think
Right. I see that look you gave me.
I think maybe they were being like paid by the word, you know. They had to like provide a minimum number of words.
Yeah. Mix up the words though. 57 times, man.
Thus the Lord gave to Israel all the land that he swore to their ancestors that he would give them. And having taken possession of it, they settled there. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of all their enemies had withstood them, for the Lord had given all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass. Now, if it was me, this would have been the perfect ending to Joshua.
And I thought this was going to be the end.
But no. It's not. It's not.
But I, as a matter of fact, I thought like he was going to like keep going. Like this sounds exactly like a re-election campaign. It's like promises made, promises kept. Vote Yahweh 2024.
Well, it is. There's a lot of like reminding people about shit. You know what I mean? Like a lot of reminding people. So yeah, it is like a campaign.
Yeah, people haven't changed though. We still have to remind people of shit. All right.
So that gets us to Joshua 22. The eastern tribes returned to their territory. I didn't even know. I don't know what the eastern tribes are.
Well, you know now.
I don't know why they left their territory. Why are they coming back to their territory?
Well, they stayed with the fight. They stayed in the fight. They crossed the Jordan, and they said, "Don't worry, you'll return to these lands when the fighting's done."
Oh, okay.
Because they were like, "Yo, we'll be in the vanguard.
Right.
We'll go in with you. We're not pussying out."
Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, "You have observed all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and have obeyed me in all that I have commanded you. You have not forsaken your kindred these many days, down to this day, but have been careful to keep the charge of the Lord your God. And now the Lord your God has given the rest to your kindred, as he promised them. Therefore, turn and go to your tents in the land where your possession lies, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you on the other side of the Jordan. Take good care to observe the commandment and instruction that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments, and to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. So basically, he tells the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, your job is done. You've been faithful servants to the Lord. Go live out your lives. Just follow the Torah.
Right. Don't forget, because I didn't realize at this point like how far away they were going. He was like, "Yo, take this with you."
They're like on the other side of the Jordan or whatever, right?
Do you think the 2.5 tribes turned back or like later stiff necks? Fucking out of here. And then somebody said, "No, you my stiff neck. No, you my stiff neck."
I think it's kind of like when you know your parents are going to go away on vacation, and you're just like waiting and waiting and finally like they're gone, and you're like, woo! Like, like that Tom Cruise like dancing around in your underwear moment.
Yo, man, do you remember the time like I might have thrown a couple parties when my parents went away, and we had two guys showing up with a keg, and it was literally like a sitcom moment. Like my parents were late in leaving, so they were walking down the block with the keg on a stick between them. I do
remember this.
And they turned the corner. And I was like, Ixnay on the egg keg. And they literally had to like make a U-turn with the keg.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
They didn't care. Now, to the one half of the tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given a possession in Bashan. But to the other half, Joshua had given a possession beside their fellow Israelites in the land west of the Jordan. And when Joshua sent them away to their tents and blessed them, he said to them, "Go back to your tents with much wealth, and with very much livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and with a great quantity of clothing. Divide the spoil of your enemies with your kindred." So it sounds like, Manasseh had like all these deals going on with Moses, with Joshua. Moses gave them land, Joshua gave them land, and they get to keep like all of these possessions.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? Well, you know what? They're cut off from the rest of the population. They kind of made that they're pretty far away. So I guess they gave them a bunch of like doggy bags and packs of resources and stuff.
In order to survive, like, okay.
Yeah, so they're getting
fair enough.
Amounts, yeah.
So the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh returned home, parting from the Israelites at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan, to go to the land of Gilead, their own land, of which they had taken possession by command of the Lord through Moses.
Yeah. I think they're giving the Lord too much credit. They asked for this. They're like, the Lord commanded this. I mean, he commanded Moses to let them have it, but they asked for this.
All right. This gets us, Scott, to what I consider one of the top 5 dumb sections that we've read so far.
I liked it. I liked it.
All right. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't funny.
Well, you said it was spicy in your text message.
I mean, it's pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
A memorial altar east of the Jordan. Joshua 22, verse 10. When they came to the region, we're talking about those 3 tribes that, the 2 tribes and the half tribe. When they came to the region near the...
Wow, you just threw darts at the wall on that one. The 3 tribes. I mean, the 2 tribes. I mean, the 2.5 tribes. It was funny. Go on.
I said 3, then you corrected me with half, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
When they came to the region near the Jordan that lies in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh built there an altar by the Jordan, an altar of great size. How big do you think the altar was? Like, what's of great size? Like, could it be seen, like, from miles away?
Nah, I'm thinking it's like... No, because their altars were kind of puny, right?
Yes.
So I think anything, like, above, like, man size is probably huge.
Right. Okay. Like a house, like a private house size.
I don't even think it's that big, but yeah.
The Israelites heard that the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh had built an altar opposite the land of Canaan in the region near the Jordan across from the Israelites. And when the people of Israel heard of it, the whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh to make war against them. The whole assembly, Scott. We're talking about like 2 million people.
My note is, oh, fuck, that didn't take long.
I mean, how
Based
long?
on a rumor.
Yeah. Like, well, first of all, how long did it take them to reach like across the Jordan? Let's say it took a week.
Yeah.
Let's say a week and a half, because it's not a large region.
No, I mean, Moses isn't navigating, so they got there pretty quick.
They built this altar. Not the first one, by the way, that has been built. They have built many altars, right?
Sure.
Many markers. Like for remembrance, like remember when they crossed
Stones
the Jordan?
in the river,
yeah, like all of these places. Yeah. Okay. So blah blah blah. What happens then? The Israelites and the priests.
Well, before that, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering, why were they so quick to assume the worst? Like maybe a couple of people may have seen the altar, and they went back and told a story. And it circulated so fast that 2 million people got together and said, do you think they saw them exiting when they were going back to their land? And they did see the resources they were given, or the gold. Maybe there was some jealousy there, and it was already like people turned on each other real quick.
I got to tell you, I think it's mostly PTSD.
Yeah, you know, I kind of mentioned that following up this. Yeah, so I didn't.
It's like you don't want to step left, you don't want to step right.
Gotcha,
you know what I mean? So they
gotcha.
don't want to take any chances.
Gotcha, right.
They've just been given this land. Everything's like going really good, and they're like, "Look at these 2.5 tribe fucking assholes! Like they're already fucking shit up for us."
Yeah, which I didn't realize because so they gather up like a party, a couple priests, a couple of the heads of the 10 tribes that are left, some chiefs,
right?
Basically, like
they meet up like in a
what do you call that?
The heads of the families, a commission.
No, the people that go to another country to like be like
immigrants,
Democrats, like not
refugees.
To be fucking what the fuck, man? What's the word, man? We have embassies in other countries. What do we call these
diplomats?
People? Yes, thank you, diplomats. Like basically, they take a diplomatic approach to this.
Yeah.
They don't just send the army.
Right.
They go, let's send some people to fucking talk this out first.
I mean, in
Good
fairness, though, diplomats couch their language a little more gently. Like these people, hey, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So they meet up, the diplomats, as you call them, with the leaders of like these tribes that built the altars. And in Joshua 22, verse 16, it says, "Thus says the whole congregation of the Lord." Now, do you think like they're all speaking in unison, or is it like one person speaking?
I think it's one person. He's saying, "Thus say the whole." It's basically saying, I speak for the entire tribe of Israel.
What is this treachery? See, already not so diplomatic. What is this treachery that you have committed against the God of Israel in turning away today from following the Lord by building yourselves an altar today in rebellion against the Lord? Have we not had enough of the sin at Peor, from which even yet we have not cleansed ourselves, and for which a plague came upon the congregation of the Lord, that you must turn away today from following the Lord? If you rebel against the Lord today, he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel tomorrow. But now, if your land is unclean, cross over into the Lord's land, where the Lord's tabernacle now stands, and take for yourselves a possession among us. Only do not rebel against the Lord or rebel against us by building yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God. Did not Achan, son of Zerah, break faith in the matter of the devoted things, and wrath fell upon all the congregation of Israel? And he did not perish alone for his iniquity.
All right. So what they're saying now is they are speaking very accusationally, but they're like, but I wrote these are good points if their accusations are true. They're like, yo, man, you're gonna fuck it up for all of us. God ain't gonna come down here and just fuck you up for this. He's gonna fuck us all up for that. So like, knock that shit off.
Which is a pretty good explanation to answer your question about why they were so upset by like this whole situation.
Well, when I wrote the first notes, I hadn't read the next section yet, so I didn't know.
All right. So then, but again, like they could have been more like, yo, we've just been through like this war together. Like, is there a reason that like you built this
bro, what is this shit?
Right. Instead of like this whole long like rant.
So wait. Do you think they were like, say less, man? Say less.
Say less. That's nice, man. I like that, Scott. Good job. Good job. I like that. I like it a lot. That was not Cheugy, man. Not Cheugy. Joshua 22, verse 22. This is the response from the Reubenites, Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The Lord, God of gods. The Lord, God of gods. He knows, and let Israel itself know. If it was in rebellion or in breach of faith toward the Lord, do not spare us today for building an altar to turn away from following the Lord. Or if we did so to offer burnt offerings or grain offerings or offerings of well-being on it, may the Lord himself take vengeance. No. We did it from fear that in time to come, your children might say to our children, what have you to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? For the Lord has made the Jordan a boundary between us and you. You Reubenites and Gadites, you have no portion in the land. So your children might make our children cease to worship the Lord. So, I mean, it's right?
Yeah, good counterpoint,
They're
man.
thinking ahead. They're like, yo, man.
They're like, nah, bro, you got it all wrong, man. We are so far removed. You people are going to start talking shit about us.
Mm-hmm.
So we built this altar here as a,
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah. So we're down.
You know we're not sus.
So you know what? Maybe you can see it for a while from far away. So when you go to look over at us and go, those motherfuckers over there are godless, or they're worshiping the wrong God, they'll see that snatched altar and realize, no, fucking...
They're with us.
Yeah.
We're the same.
Snatched, man. Snatched altar.
Therefore we said, let us now build an altar, not for burnt offering, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you, and between the generations after us, that we do perform the service of the Lord in his presence with our burnt offerings and sacrifices and offerings of well-being, so that your children may never say to our children in time to come, you have no portion in the land. And we thought, if this should be said to us or to our descendants in time to come, we could say, look at this copy of the altar of the Lord that our ancestors made, not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you. Far be it from us that we should rebel against the Lord and turn away this day from following the Lord by building an altar for burnt offering, grain offering, or sacrifice, other than the altar of the Lord our God that stands before his tabernacle.
Why do they keep mentioning it's not for burnt offerings? They give burnt offerings all the time.
Right.
They should specify not for burnt offerings to any other god. It's burnt offerings for Yahweh.
I think you're only supposed to give the burnt offerings like at the tabernacle or something at this point.
And maybe only when he asks for it?
Or like you're supposed to build a certain type of altar, with like the drainage ditch and like whatnot. And this was not one of those, I think.
Well, this was a copy of the altar. It was a copy.
It was a copy.
Yeah.
So it probably was not at the behest of the Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think we're all cool with this, though. Like, they understand.
So it seems like they explained it. Everybody was chill. Everybody went their own ways. And then...
So I think to both our points, I think they were like, let's go get them. And then someone said, no, let's go talk to them first. So cooler heads prevailed.
You think that's what happened?
Yeah, there's much ado about nothing.
All right, that's fair. The Reubenites and the Gadites called the altar witness. For, they said, it is a witness between us that the Lord is God.
So they like to use stones as witnesses.
It's so bizarre. You would think like the Torah the Torah or the rocks that they used to bury like those 5 kings or any of a number of other like monuments that they have constructed. They keep having to construct these monuments as reminders. It's almost like the movie Memento. Remember Memento?
Yeah.
It's like the movie that went backwards because the guy couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
So he had to like keep writing shit down and tattooing himself. That's what the Israelites are like.
Yeah. And they use stones as a witness. So let's say this ever went to trial. Could you call that stone up to the witness stand? Hey, look, the witness doesn't want to speak, see? He's taking the fifth. Yeah. So I got to say,
he's
this
all
is
stone-faced.
Nice. Stone cold, that guy. And now it's your turn. I win.
That gets us to Joshua 23.
I just want to say, I have a note here. Quickest DEF CON fluctuation in history. They went from DEF CON 1 to 5, like in minutes.
Yeah, in 10 verses.
Yeah.
Joshua 23.
All right, here we go.
Joshua exhorts the people. You know what that means, to exhort?
We covered this. It means to exclaim to them, right? Or I don't remember. It's in the vocabulary list. Can't remember shit anymore. I had a rough week. Did I mention that?
A long time afterward, when the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their enemies all around, and Joshua was old and well advanced in years, Joshua summoned all Israel, their elders and heads, their judges and officers, and said to them, I am now old and well advanced in years, and you have seen all that the Lord your God has done to all these nations for your sake. For it is the Lord your God who has fought for you. It's so funny.
We should have started a belch counter. You belch a lot. It's probably sucking in a lot of air when
It's
you're
the
talking.
edibles.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I have allotted to you as an inheritance for your tribes those nations that remain, along with all the nations that I have already cut off from the Jordan to the great sea in the west. The Lord your God will push them back before you and drive them out of your sight, and you shall possess their land as the Lord your God promised you.
All right, let me start with the first sentence here. A long time afterward, when the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their enemies. Once again, it's not directly saying, but they're kind of phrasing it in a way like the enemies were keeping Israel up at night. Like Israel was the only one keeping motherfuckers up at night. But they're using words like, we're finally giving these poor people some rest because of all the turmoil they've had. Yeah. What are you doing, man?
I'm getting up because it feels like it's like 100 degrees in here, so I'm taking my vest. Oh, yeah, it's hot in here.
Yeah. I don't feel so hot, man. So, yeah, the Israelites are the only ones keeping people up at night, man. That's all I'm saying about that.
Therefore, be very steadfast to observe and do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, turning aside from it neither to the right nor to the left, so that you may not be mixed with these nations left here among you, or make mention of the name of their gods, or swear by them, or serve them, or bow yourselves down to them, but hold fast to the Lord your God, as you have done to this day. For the Lord has driven out before you great and strong nations, and as for you, no one has been able to withstand you to this day. One of you puts to flight 1,000, since it is the Lord your God who fights for you, as he promised you. So this is basically like another one of these like Trump campaign speeches, it's like, the Lord is great. Like he's done all these great things for you. Ask anybody, he's like driven out. One of you scares 1,000 like people,
I've been told by many people, I am the scariest.
But of course, as we always know, with Yahweh, it's never unconditional. It always comes with conditions.
May I? Be very careful, therefore, to love the Lord your God. For if you turn back and join the survivors of these nations, left here among you, and intermarry with them, so that you marry their women and they yours, know assuredly that the Lord your God will not continue to drive out these nations before you, but they shall be a snare and a trap for you, a scourge on your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land that the Lord your God has given you. Justification for segregation, xenophobia, racism, I would say. I don't know if they're different races at this point. I'm surprised they don't capture this line when they call for the white separatists that are calling for a white nation in America. Right. I'm surprised they haven't started quoting this particular Bible verse.
Oh, there's probably way better. There's probably better justifications for all that. All right. But here's what I found funny about this. So it says, for if you turn back and join the survivors of these nations, right? First of all, I thought there were no survivors. Remember, didn't they kill everybody?
No, they left some people. Remember, they're going to be the laborers, and they left some people.
Okay. And then you intermarry with them so that you marry their women and they yours. Know assuredly that the Lord your God will not continue to drive out these nations. Well, if I marry them, I don't want them to. I don't want them to continue to drive them out.
Well, good. That's a good thing.
That's why I'm marrying this person.
But then who are you going to hate?
Right. No, listen.
Who else are you going to blame for the problems of your society?
I hear you.
It's the lower caste that you have to blame.
I hear you.
You can't blame someone you just married. Or people that look like them or sound like them or act like them.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah. Joshua 23, verse 14. And now, I am about to go the way of all the earth. This is still Joshua. This is like kind of like, remember how Moses rambled on and on?
Yeah.
Joshua's so much better. He's like Moses 2.0. He's like a better version of Moses.
This is a better speech. This is not a bad speech, actually.
And now I am about to go the way of all the earth. And you know in your hearts and souls, all of you, that not one thing has failed of all the good things that the Lord your God promised concerning you. All have come to pass for you. Not one of them has failed. So again, like he pumps them up with
Promises
like
made,
God's
promises
great,
kept.
but, always a but.
Yeah.
Just as all the good things that the Lord your God promised concerning you have been fulfilled for you, so the Lord will bring upon you all the bad things until he has destroyed you from this good land that the Lord your God has given you. If you transgress the covenant of the Lord your God, which he enjoined on you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them, then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from the good land that he has given to you.
I like it. It's a strong warning at the end of a relatively good speech by Bible standards.
I mean, it's kind of like when your parents go away and like they're like, look, we trust you. You're a good kid. Like you blah, blah, blah. But if you throw a fucking party and fuck up this house, when we come back, you will get fucked up. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's like a warning to the children.
We catch two douchebags with a keg round in the corner as soon as we leave.
And that gets us to the last chapter of the book of Joshua. Look at this, Scott. We're going to make it. I think we're going to make it, although there is a lot to say in this chapter.
Tune in next week to hear the conclusion. Bye, all. That's how shows do shit, man.
It is. It's good shows do that. But this is our show. The tribes renewed. Not a lot of laughter today, Scott.
No.
Notice that? Not a lot of laughter. What's going on, Scott?
Listen, it's not just me, man.
No.
We both have a certain energy tonight that's not maybe laugh-inducing or susceptible to easily laugh. Easily susceptible to laugh.
If you say so. The tribes renew the covenant.
Because I'm an angry man, all right? Go ahead, sorry.
All right. Joshua 24 starts off. Then Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and summoned the elders, the heads, the judges, and the officers of Israel, and they presented themselves before God.
Whoa.
What does that mean?
I guess they,
Are they at the tabernacle? They presented themselves before God, meaning they just gathered, or was God like, you know how God descends in a cloud?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think, like, the 2.5 tribes got word that this is going on? Like, thank God we ain't got to do this shit anymore. Like, we're going to be a little more relaxed with our religion.
I don't know, because it keeps being hammered into them how awesome Yahweh is. Because I think this is kind of like the farewell. Like Yahweh's about to take off.
We've said that before.
Yeah.
So let's hopefully this is the real time.
All right. So the next section is basically like all of these, like look at all of these awesome things that have been done for you by like Yahweh, right? And he starts like going through like the entire history of like the Israelites, basically from like Abraham to Isaac to like Jacob to fucking like all of them, right? It's like a whole encapsulation of what got us to this point.
It's a fantastic recap as far as the Israelites are concerned, leaving Egypt to where they got now, and they sum it up in like 3 paragraphs. Without any fucking land surveys, without any counting of the shekels or how many cubits shit is.
Right.
So you could basically condense the entire story of the Exodus from Egypt into these 3 paragraphs.
I mean, honestly, this might be our previously on to start the next episode, you know?
Yeah.
Because every time we start like a new book, the previously on is usually like a short encapsulation of everything that occurred.
We could just read this, sure. Yeah.
So that gets us to...
Wait, can I just say this?
Oh, yeah.
24 verse 2, and Joshua said to all the people, this is the speech he's giving, but I just want to read the first 2 sentences. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, long ago your ancestors, Terah and his sons Abraham and Nahor, Nahor's house. That's all. Go on. Want to mention the Nahor house again.
Fair enough.
I'm tired.
Wasn't Nahor the guy that fucked around with Isaac and wouldn't? Oh, no, it wasn't. That was another one. Isaac married like Rachel or something from Nahor. It doesn't matter. So that gets us to Joshua 24, verse 14.
I want to do 13.
You want to do 13?
I'll read 13.
Go ahead.
At the end of this recap, he goes, I gave you a land on which you had not labored, and towns that you had not built, and you live in them. You eat the fruit of vineyards and olive yards that you did not plant. Yeah, like real good scumbags usually do. Just wanted to point that out.
I'm sorry. By the way, he didn't give them shit. They had to like fight for everything.
Yeah, well, yeah. But
oh, except for that one day that he rained boulders down.
Well, you know what? The losses... I don't know what the losses on the Israelite sides were, but it doesn't seem like it was very drastic. It seems like it was a rout for the most part.
Yeah.
So they had to be
because
some,
of Yahweh.
There had to be
not
some
because
Yahweh.
they had 2 million fucking people invading towns of like 10,000.
Yeah, I mean that's
not because
possible.
they were like locusts descending
You know what?
upon
These
like a
people
field of like wheat.
These people have very low self-esteem, man. They should take credit for some of this shit. Maybe not give it all to Yahweh.
I mean, they were slaves for so many centuries, you know. It's probably going to take some time for them to regain their confidence.
I guess, yeah.
Now, therefore, revere the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your ancestors served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. Now, if you are unwilling to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. What if you choose to serve another Lord? Haven't you been threatened this whole time not to serve anyone but Yahweh?
Yeah, I'm side-eyeing you, man. Don't even mention shit like that, man.
I'm just saying, like, this is a weird proposition that he's making. All right, he's telling the congregation, decide who will be your God.
Maybe, to your point. So if you decide not to choose Yahweh, we can kill you now. We can smite your ass because Yahweh's leaving and he can't do it later.
Right.
Right, because plenty of people since this day that in question have turned away from Yahweh, and nobody's gotten smited.
Not a single person.
Not a single person.
Well, people have been smited by other people who...
I thought smite meant strictly from like a god strikes you down.
Right. That's true. That's
the definition
true.
of the word,
right.
I might not know the real definition of the word.
Although, God does work in mysterious ways.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Perhaps he's directing his smitiness through someone's
like that Murdoch guy that just got convicted.
That's right. Well, that wasn't his fault. That was Yahweh, you know.
No,
his wife probably coveted another man's donkey.
No, I was thinking his son killed like some other young girl when he was drunk driving a boat.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah, I heard the whole recap today for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, his fucking son was drunk with a bunch of friends and their girlfriends. He was driving a boat. He crashed into a bridge and killed a girl. And when the cops came, they recognized him as being like, you know, part of the elite.
So this lawyer just got convicted and sentenced for killing his wife and his other son, Murdoch. And apparently this family is very well connected in South Carolina. Yeah. Like, they're part of the community. They're like lawyers generation after generation. Very like ingrained into like civics and like all that, right?
Fifth generation lawyer and like lawmakers. And there's video footage of the cops like going easy on the kid, saying, you're not in trouble, you're not in trouble. And the kid kind of laughing. And the guy whose girlfriend got killed is screaming like, you motherfucker, you think this is funny? You're going to stand there and fucking laugh?
This is
my fucking girlfriend.
Yes. Really, this recorded.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have to check this out.
Right? So he got away scot-free is the whole point of this, right? So a couple years later, he gets murdered by his father to cover up some other crimes.
That is right.
So that's God working in mysterious ways. Like, God didn't smite him for turning away from the Lord. But he did.
Which God, though? That seems like the Indian God, because that's like karma.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. But God works in mysterious ways. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, you got smited through another means.
No, for sure, God. Definitely. You don't understand God.
Who can?
No.
Who wants to?
But Joshua said to the people, so after the people were like, no, we're rolling with Yahweh.
Sure.
You know, we're not choosing any other gods. We're Yahweh. He's our guy. But Joshua said to the people, you cannot serve the Lord, for he is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions or your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do you harm and consume you after having done you good.
I didn't understand this.
Okay. But Joshua said to the people, you cannot serve the Lord, for he is a holy God.
Right.
So
then the rest of this paragraph sounds like they're saying, no, we're going to serve the Lord. And they're like, you should serve the Lord. I was very I didn't understand.
Okay. So Joshua tells the congregation, decide who you will worship. The congregation is like, we're going to worship Yahweh, of course. And then Joshua, he's like making it hard on them. He wants to make sure that they really mean what they're saying.
Okay.
So he's like, you can't just serve this guy, you know. This guy's like holy, meaning like clean, right? So you have to be holy also, right? If you fuck around, he will fucking kill you. So don't just say that you're going to serve this guy.
Yeah, all right. It's poorly written, but it could be poorly translated.
And the people said to Joshua, no, we will serve the Lord. Then Joshua said to the people, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen the Lord to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. Joshua is doing due diligence. He's like a good car salesman that's telling the people, look, you're buying a junker. I just want you to know what you're getting yourselves into. Like, yes, it's a good, cheap car, but you're going to sign this contract stating I have expressed to you that it might need like a new carburetor. You know what I mean? I think that's the situation.
Yeah. All right.
And then Joshua says to them, after they said, we are witnesses, and they agree, he said, then put away the foreign gods that are among you, and incline your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel. The people said to Joshua, the Lord our God we will serve, and him we will obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and made statutes and ordinances for them at Shechem. Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God, and he took a large stone and set it up there under the oak in the sanctuary of the Lord. Joshua said to all the people, see, this stone shall be a witness against us, for it has heard all the words of the Lord that he spoke to us. Therefore, it shall be a witness against you if you deal falsely with your God. So Joshua sent the people away to their inheritances.
Okay. So they say that we're witnesses against each other. We're witnesses against us. And then Joshua was like, you know what? This stone's a better witness. Let's go with the stone instead. Like, what the fuck?
They love their stones, man.
Yeah, I guess. And he goes, put away the foreign gods that are amongst us. Who the fuck is still crazy
Who's
enough
still
to do
right?
this? You know what I mean? Like,
is anyone walking around with a mantle? So that gets us to the death of Joshua and Eliezer. Who's Eliezer?
he's the guy. He's that guy.
Do you remember him?
I remember that
Is he a
name.
warrior?
Isn't he like one of the...
Was he one of the spies that was like all
He
like...
was a Levite. Wasn't he a Levite? Like the high priest? Like
I don't even remember.
The highest of priests?
Oh, was he Aaron's son?
Yeah. Yes.
He
yes,
was.
I think it was Aaron's
He was
son.
like the third or fourth son because the first two were killed after they fucked up the first like ceremony.
Yeah.
They were burned with fire.
Yeah, he was like the kid that was like,
So
I'm
Eliezer
never
had to,
going to
like-
be king.
Next thing you know, he's like dumping his brother's bodies. Like,
Looks like I'm going to be king.
all right. So the death of Joshua and Eliezer. Joshua 24, verse 29. After these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old.
Can I point out the use of commas in a lot
It's
of this
weird,
text?
right?
Like they're all over the place. Like they're like in the wrong spots, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Actually, in this, it's all right.
After these things, no, it's not. But whatever.
After these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. That gets us to Joshua 24, verse 31. Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua and had known all the work that the Lord did for Israel. So we're not talking about like a good amount of time, right? Like Joshua, he's like 110. So let's say it's like 200 years now, like between like the time that Joshua enters the promised land with the congregation, they start taking over land. He lives another, let's say, 40 or 50 years. Then the elders grow old and they die. So we're talking about like the Israelites must be like by the close of this book, you know, they're as old as the United States of America today.
All right. I didn't really follow the math, but all right.
The bones of Joseph, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the portion of ground that Jacob had brought from the children of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. It became an inheritance of the descendants of Joseph. What's so funny?
What became an inheritance? The bones?
Yeah.
All right, fine. But
What's so funny? You could charge admission,
fine,
bro.
Fine. What they bought it for 100 pieces of money. Next time I go buy something in a store, I'm like, yo, how many pieces of money is this? Kind of fucking weird way of saying it is that.
Well, it says Heb 100 Kesida. Eliezer, son of Aaron, you're right. So Eliezer was...
We were both right, man. That was a process of elimination, man.
Eliezer, son of Aaron, died, and they buried him at Gibeah, the town of his son Phinehas, which had been given him in the hill country of Ephraim. I mean, it's kind of sad because this is like the end of like everything from Exodus, really. Like this really closes out Exodus in many ways.
Oh, sure. This is the end chapter. This is the end game. This is the end of the series. This is like the 7-season run, and now it's time for like the next.
Like they say, like
series.
the Pentateuch, you know, the Torah, the first 5 books. But I kind of feel like this should be included, like in those first 5 books. There should be the first 6 books.
Maybe the first 5 books, the only ones that had any truth in them. Like this is just made up shit. This is all bullshit. Part's all bullshit. Yeah.
That's true. So there we are, Scott. We have now completed another book of the Bible.
Do you think Joshua's gone too soon? We never really got to know him. I feel like he was one of like the guest stars that was on for like maybe like a 3-4 episode arc on a series, and you really got into the character, and then either he died or she got written off or something. Like you felt like you should know more about them.
I kind of feel like the more we get to know anyone in the Bible, the more we hate them. So it's almost like better that we didn't get to know him that much.
Yeah, bow out while the getting's good, man.
Yeah, you know?
So is Joshua as revered as Moses?
It seems like Joshua's like pretty fucking like high up there, man.
And I understand, listen, Moses ran it 90 yards. Joshua took it over the finish line. But a lot of times that's what you remember. You remember the guy who scored the touchdown. Like I feel like he scored the touchdown, this guy.
So far, Joshua is the only person in the book that's commanded God to do something, and God did it. He told God to stop the sun.
Yeah.
And God was like, all right.
Still don't think God knew how to do it, though.
I'm just saying, in the canon of the book.
Joshua, man, you're getting too deep into the role, man.
So there it is. So we have completed the first 5 books, and now, in addition to that, Joshua.
So you might be able to say we completed the first 6 books.
Yes. Well, the first 5 books are like a series, you know. It's like the Pentateuch, the Torah. Good God.
Just what the Hebrews thought. Do you think the first 5 books were like the mini-series, like the series, and like book 6 was like the 2-hour finale, like on like a half-hour show?
Worse.
Worse?
Yeah, I think the first 5 books, right, they're like, all right, let's say the first 5 books are like The Godfather, right? They're written by like Mario Puzo, right? Then, 50 years later, Mario Puzo is dead. And people are like, yo, we need to continue this series. Let's just hire like another writer, you know, and then they hire like some bullshit writer.
They hire Pario Muzo.
Yeah, like whatever that day like hot young like hot shot is. And he creates like a mess of like whatever. I think that's the situation. I think like the Torah is classic, and then everything after that is just various authors.
I feel like they wrapped this up quickly after 40 years of like getting here. They kind of wrapped it up.
It seems like It seems like maybe like they should have focused more on like how they took over all the different towns.
No, I think we know how they did that. They were pretty detailed about that. They put them to the sword.
I would like more details about their conquest.
Like how the entrails like fell out of their victims when they sliced their abdomens open.
No, like just more like, you know,
like
more interactions.
You're like a horror destructo porn kind of guy.
It's true.
Cool, man. I got nothing else to say about this, man.
All right. So I guess until next time when we get to Judges, we'll see you then, fuckers.
All right. Peace.